When you worry, it feels like control. But what if the very act of worrying is what silently blocks life from helping you? Picture your mind at night, running, tightening, preparing for futures that never arrive, while your body grows tired and your heart grows restless. Buddhism reveals a truth most people miss. Worry is not awareness, it is fear rehearsing failure. Peace does not come from solving life, but from seeing it clearly. Look at your own life. You don't need proof. Has worry ever added clarity or only weight? Where every video is a doorway to calm, clarity, and Buddhist insight you won't find anywhere else online. Stay until the end. One bonus lesson shows when life truly works. 1. Thoughts are visitors, not commanders. You sit quietly, yet the mind refuses to rest. One thought arrives, then another, then 10 more. Each one speaks with urgency, as if it carries authority over your life. Worry feels powerful because it talks loudly, but power does not come from noise. Buddhism reminds us that the mind speaks constantly, yet not every voice deserves obedience. Not every sound in the forest is a warning. Some are only the wind passing through dry leaves. From childhood, you were trained to believe every thought as truth. If the mind says, something will go wrong, the body tightens. If it says, you are falling behind, the heart races. This is how worry is born, not from reality, but from unexamined belief. The Buddha observed this long ago. Suffering does not come from events, but from the mind's commentary about them. The tragedy is not that thoughts arise, but that we kneel before them without question. Thoughts are visitors, not commanders. They come uninvited, stay briefly, and leave when not entertained. Imagine birds landing on a branch. They do not belong to the tree. They rest only because the branch is available. When you feed them attention, they stay longer. When you stop feeding them, they leave on their own. Worry survives on attention. Deprived of it, it weakens. In modern life, this is especially relevant. You worry about your career, your future, your relationships, your worth. The mind predicts disasters that have not happened and may never happen. Hours are lost arguing with imaginary outcomes. Ask yourself gently, how many of your worst worries from years ago actually came true? The mind dramatizes. Life, meanwhile, continues quietly doing its work. Here is a simple practice. Close your eyes. Notice one thought arise. Do not fight it. Do not follow it. Do not solve it. Just watch. See how it changes shape, fades, or is replaced by another thought. You did nothing to remove it. It left by itself. This is a profound truth. Thoughts do not need to be defeated. They need to be seen clearly. When you observe instead of react, something shifts. Space appears. In that space, worry loses its grip. You realize you are not the thought, not the fear, not the story. You are the awareness that notices them. And awareness is calm by nature. This is the moment real life begins. When you stop living inside mental noise and start living in direct experience. Ask yourself, which thoughts do I obey without questioning? Who would I be if I let them pass without resistance? Who am I when no thought is speaking at all? The moment you stop worrying is the moment life realizes it no longer needs to fight you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My worry ends here." 2. Worry is fear pretending to protect you. Worry often arrives wearing the mask of responsibility. It whispers that if you stay tense, alert, and restless, you will be safe. It promises protection. Yet look closely at your own life. Has worry ever solved tomorrow? Or has it only stolen today? Fear rehearses loss before it arrives, exhausting the mind long before any real challenge appears. The Buddha observed that fear is clever. It pretends to serve you. It says, think again, prepare more, imagine every outcome. But this constant rehearsal weakens the spirit. You begin to live in imagined pain instead of present strength. Worry does not prevent suffering. It multiplies it by forcing you to experience the same fear again and again without rest. Worry tightens the body before danger exists. Shoulders rise, breath shortens. The heart learns to stay guarded. Like tightening your grip on water, the harder you hold, the faster peace escapes. Control becomes a habit, and trust slowly disappears. You forget that life has carried you through difficulties before, even when you were unsure, even when you were afraid. Notice how worry never lives in the future. The future has not arrived. Worry lives in the body now. Place one hand on your chest. Breathe slowly. Feel the tension sitting there, heavy and warm. This is not foresight. This is fear stored in muscle and breath. When you attend to the body, the lie of worry becomes visible. In modern life, worry disguises itself as productivity. You call it planning, overthinking, staying prepared. Yet the mind cannot prepare for every outcome. It can only drain today's energy, pretending to manage tomorrow. Ask yourself honestly, what are you trying to control right now? And is control truly possible, or is acceptance the wiser strength? Buddhist wisdom teaches that courage is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to let fear govern your actions. When you trust yourself more than your worry, something powerful happens. The mind softens. Decisions become clearer. Energy returns. You respond to life instead of bracing against it. Ask yourself gently, is this concern rooted in reality or imagination? Am I protecting myself or punishing myself with endless anticipation? What would change if I trusted my ability to meet life as it comes, rather than suffering in advance? The turning point arrives when you see the truth clearly. Worry is not your guardian. It is a habit of fear. And the moment you stop feeding it, life begins to move with you, not against you. 3. The mind creates problems reality never sent. Life delivers moments, not meanings. An email arrives. A conversation ends abruptly. A plan changes without warning. These are events, simple, neutral, unfinished. The mind rushes in afterward, stitching stories around them. It predicts failure, rejection, disaster. Most suffering does not come from what happens, but from what you say about what happens. Pain is real. The story is optional. The Buddha taught that the mind is quick to label and slow to understand. It takes a single experience and stretches it across the past and the future. One mistake becomes a lifelong flaw. One loss becomes a permanent wound. This is how thought-made suffering is born. Reality delivers one moment. The mind multiplies it into many. Imagine a mirror covered in dust. You look into it and see a distorted reflection. Then blame your own face for the blur. The world is not always clear, but the distortion often comes from the mind itself. When perception is clouded by fear, memory, and expectation, even peaceful moments feel heavy. You believe life is attacking you when it is only being misunderstood. Bring to mind a recent worry. Something small, perhaps. An unanswered message. A delayed result. First, name the event as it truly was. Just the facts. Then, notice the story you added, the assumptions, the imagined outcomes. Sit quietly with the difference. Feel how the body responds to the event, then how it reacts to the story. One is lighter, the other is exhausting. In modern life, this habit goes unnoticed. You replay conversations that are already over. You argue with people who are not present. You suffer through futures that have not arrived. Ask yourself with honesty, what part of this pain is thought-created? How much of this weight exists only because the mind refuses to stay with what is? Buddhist wisdom does not ask you to deny pain. It asks you to stop adding unnecessary layers to it. When you meet a moment without labeling it good or bad, something unexpected happens. The moment becomes workable. Breath returns. The body relaxes. You regain choice. Try meeting this moment without commentary, without judgment, without prediction. Just this breath, just this sensation. When the story is dropped, what remains is simple awareness, steady, quiet, capable. And in that clarity, you discover the truth. Life was never as heavy as the mind made it seem. 4. Emotional control is not suppression. It is understanding. An emotion rises, and your first instinct is to push it away. You tell yourself to be strong, to stay calm, to move on quickly. Yet the more you resist what you feel, the louder it becomes. Anger sharpens, sadness deepens, anxiety tightens its grip. Buddhism teaches a quiet truth many overlook. Emotional control is not suppression, it is understanding. What is understood no longer needs to shout. From an early age, you learn to label emotions as weaknesses. Fear was something to hide. Tears was something to stop. But emotions are not enemies. They are signals. When you try to silence them, you turn inward conflict into suffering. The Buddha observed that the mind does not calm through force. It calms through clarity. An emotion is like a child knocking on a door. Ignored, it bangs harder. Scolded, it screams. But when the door opens and the child is seen, something softens. The knocking stops. The same is true within you. When you pause and allow an emotion to be present without judgment, it begins to settle on its own. Notice how often worry is fueled by unacknowledged emotion. Fear hides beneath productivity. Sadness disguises itself as restlessness. Anger pretends to be certainty. When these emotions are denied, they leak into your decisions and distort your perception. You think you are acting logically, but you are reacting emotionally without awareness. Try this now. Name the emotion you feel, not the story behind it, just the feeling. Tightness, heat, heaviness. Breathe into that place gently. Do not demand it to leave. Let it stay. Watch how it shifts when it is no longer resisted. This is not indulgence. This is discipline of awareness. In modern life, emotional suppression is praised as maturity. But suppressed emotion does not disappear. It waits. It resurfaces as exhaustion, irritation, or constant worry. Ask yourself honestly, what emotion am I avoiding right now? And what has it cost me to keep avoiding it? Buddhist wisdom teaches that emotions lose their power when they are fully seen. When you understand a feeling, you no longer have to obey it. You can allow fear without becoming fearful. You can feel sadness without drowning in it. Understanding creates space between you and the emotion. In that space, choice returns. Ask yourself quietly, what is this feeling trying to teach me? What truth is it pointing toward? Can I let this emotion exist without building my identity around it? When emotions are welcomed with awareness, worry weakens. The mind stops fighting itself. Life begins to flow again, not because emotions vanished, but because you learned how to meet them with calm strength. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My worry ends here." 5. Resistance is the real exhaustion. Something in your life feels heavy, and you believe the weight comes from circumstances, from work pressure, from people, from uncertainty. But look closer. Life itself is not draining you. The exhaustion comes from arguing with what already is. Resistance is the real burden. The moment you stop fighting reality, energy begins to return. The Buddha taught that suffering is born when the mind demands life be different than it is. You replay the sentence, "This shouldn't be happening," again and again. Each repetition tightens the body. The jaw clenches. The breath shortens. Reality does not change, but you grow tired. Acceptance is not surrender. It is alignment. Imagine swimming against a strong river. Every stroke burns your muscles, yet you remain in the same place. Turn your body with the current, and suddenly movement requires less effort. Life is similar. When you resist, you exhaust yourself trying to control what cannot be controlled. When you align, you conserve strength for what truly matters. In daily life, resistance hides in subtle forms. You resist aging, mistakes, delays, endings. You resist emotions that feel uncomfortable and moments that feel unfair. This constant inner no keeps the nervous system on guard. Ask yourself, where am I fighting what already exists? And what has this fight cost me over time? Try this simple practice. Exhale deeply. Feel the body soften as the breath leaves. Whisper inwardly, "This moment is allowed to be as it is." Notice what changes. The situation may remain the same, but the pressure around it loosens. You are no longer at war with the present. Modern life teaches you to push, fix, and force, but Buddhism teaches a quieter power. When resistance drops, clarity rises. You see what can be changed and what must be met with patience. Action becomes cleaner, not driven by frustration, but guided by wisdom. Ask yourself gently, what happens when I stop saying, "It shouldn't be this way"? How much energy returns when I soften instead of tense? How much peace becomes available when I stop demanding certainty from life? This is not passivity. It is intelligent acceptance. From alignment, effective action naturally follows. Worry fades because the mind is no longer battling reality. When you stop resisting the moment, life stops resisting you. And in that cooperation, real life finally begins. Steady, honest, and quietly powerful. 6. Detachment is freedom, not indifference. You hold tightly because you believe holding is love, effort, responsibility. You grip outcomes, people, plans, identities, convinced that letting go means losing everything. But Buddhism teaches a quieter truth. Detachment is not indifference. It is freedom. You do not stop caring. You stop clinging. And in that release, life finally has room to breathe. Clinging feels active, but it is rooted in fear. Fear of loss. Fear of failure. Fear that without constant control, everything will fall apart. The Buddha observed that suffering does not come from action itself, but from attachment to results. Clarity appears when grasping ends. When the demand for a specific outcome loosens, the mind becomes steady and precise. Think of holding sand in your hand. Tighten your fist, and the grains press into your skin, cutting and escaping at the same time. Open your palm gently, and the sand rests there naturally. Nothing is forced. Nothing is harmed. Detachment works the same way. When you loosen your grip, what belongs with you stays, and what does not can leave without tearing you apart. In modern life, attachment disguises itself as ambition and love. You say, "I must succeed this way," or "This person must not change," or "My effort must guarantee results." When reality refuses these demands, worry grows. The body tightens. Sleep becomes shallow. You are not tired from doing your best. You are exhausted from demanding certainty from an uncertain world. Try this practice. Imagine your worries resting on an open palm instead of a clenched fist. Feel the difference in the arm, the shoulder, the chest. Notice how the breath deepens when you stop squeezing. Detachment is not withdrawal, it is trust. Trust in your effort. Trust in your resilience. Trust that life can respond without being strangled by expectation. Ask yourself honestly, what outcome am I gripping too tightly right now? What am I afraid will happen if I release control? Can I give my full effort without demanding a specific result in return? This question is a turning point, because when effort is clean and expectation is released, action becomes lighter and more effective. Buddhist wisdom teaches that peace comes not from getting what you want, but from no longer needing life to obey your script. When you release expectation, the body softens, the mind clears, decisions improve. You remain engaged, but no longer desperate. Feel how your body responds when you let go, even slightly. That lightness is not weakness. It is freedom, and from that freedom, real life begins. Honest effort. Calm mind. Open hands. 7. Timing is intelligence beyond thought. Anxiety rushes ahead of life. It demands answers before the questions are fully formed. It wants guarantees before conditions are ready. You feel this urgency in the chest, the restlessness in the mind that says, now, fix it now. But Buddhism teaches a deeper intelligence at work, one that does not panic, does not rush, and does not miss its moment. Timing is intelligence beyond thought. The mind believes speed is strength. The Buddha observed otherwise. Life unfolds according to conditions, not impatience. When conditions are incomplete, forcing action only creates distortion. A seed grows in darkness before light. Much of life's most important work happens unseen beneath the surface, while the mind grows anxious watching the soil. Look closely at worry, and you will see fear of delay. Fear that if things do not happen immediately, they may never happen at all. But forcing clarity before it ripens leads to error. Like forcing a flower to bloom early, urgency snaps the stem instead of producing beauty. What is rushed rarely lasts. What matures naturally endures. In modern life, this impatience is constant. You rush decisions, relationships, healing, success. You pressure yourself to arrive before you are ready. The body feels this pressure as tension. The breath shortens. Sleep becomes shallow. Ask yourself gently, what am I rushing out of fear? And who taught me that delay is failure? Try this practice. Breathe slowly. Let the exhale be longer than the inhale. Repeat inwardly, what is meant will arrive on time. Feel how the nervous system responds to permission instead of pressure. You are not falling behind. You are being prepared. Think back on your life. Some of the most meaningful events came without force. Opportunities appeared after confusion. Strength emerged after waiting. Understanding arrived only when you stopped chasing it. Ask yourself, what has unfolded perfectly in my past without being pushed? Let that memory teach you trust. Buddhist wisdom reminds you that patience is not passive. It is active alignment with reality. You continue to show up. You continue to act where action is clear. But you stop demanding answers from moments that are still forming. This is not laziness. It is precision. When you trust timing, worry loosens its grip. You stop trying to outthink life. You listen more. You act with less regret. Decisions feel quieter, cleaner, less desperate. You begin to sense when to move and when to wait. Not from fear, but from clarity. Ask yourself now, can I trust the process instead of the timeline? Can I allow life to meet me halfway? When you stop rushing the future, the present opens. And in that opening, real life begins. Steady, patient, and exactly on time. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My worry ends here." 8. 8. Presence multiplies power. Your energy is not lost because you do too little. It is lost because it is scarce. It is scattered. The mind jumps from thought to thought, task to task, fear to fear. You stay busy, yet nothing feels complete. Buddhism teaches a simple but radical truth. Frantic effort weakens power. Presence multiplies it. One calm action outweighs 100 anxious ones. Look closely at worry and overexertion. They feel productive, but they fracture attention. You move faster, yet go nowhere. The Buddha observed that when the mind is divided, even good effort becomes inefficient. Still water reflects the sky. A disturbed surface reflects nothing clearly. In your daily life, presence is often mistaken for passivity. Slowing down feels dangerous, as if something might be missed. But notice how mistakes increase when you rush. Words come out wrong. Decisions feel heavy. Energy drains quickly. Presence does not reduce effectiveness. It refines it. Imagine a quiet lamp in a dark room. Its steady light fills the space effortlessly. Now imagine sparks flying wildly in the wind. Bright, dramatic, but useless for illumination. Your attention works the same way. When it is steady, it illuminates everything it touches. When it scatters, it burns out without warmth. Try this now. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice one sound near you. Do not name it, just hear it. Let your body arrive fully here. In this moment, nothing is missing. When attention returns to the present, the nervous system settles. Power gathers instead of leaking away. Modern life praises multitasking, speed, constant reaction. But Buddhism teaches mastery through simplicity. When you are present, you see what actually matters. You waste less effort on unnecessary conflict, unnecessary worry, unnecessary thinking. Action becomes precise, speech becomes clean, even rest becomes restorative. Ask yourself honestly, where is my attention right now? Is it split between regrets and predictions, or is it anchored in what is directly in front of me? Presence is not mystical, it is practical. When you slow down internally, effectiveness increases externally. Notice how worry weakens when presence deepens. Anxiety feeds on imagined futures. Presence dissolves it by anchoring you in what is real. You cannot be fully present and deeply worried at the same time. One replaces the other. Ask yourself, how does presence change the way I work, speak, listen, and decide? What happens when I do one thing fully instead of many things anxiously? Buddhist wisdom teaches that calm is not the absence of action. It is the foundation of right action. When you gather your attention instead of scattering it, life responds with clarity. And in that clarity, you discover a quiet strength. Less effort, more impact, less worry, more life. 9. Overthinking blocks natural solutions. The mind believes that constant thinking is intelligence. It insists that if you analyze long enough, worry hard enough, push deep enough, the solution will appear. Yet notice your own experience. The problems you think about the most often feel the heaviest. Overthinking does not clarify life, it interferes with it. Buddhism teaches a quiet reversal. Life solves itself when the mind stops interrupting. The Buddha observed that wisdom does not always arise from effort. Some understanding comes only when effort steps aside. Overthinking is not depth. It is noise layered on top of uncertainty. Silence completes what effort begins. When the mind keeps stirring the water, nothing becomes clear. Imagine muddy water in a glass. The more you shake it, the cloudier it becomes. Set the glass down and wait. Without force, the mud settles. Clarity returns on its own. The mind works the same way. Answers that refuse to appear under pressure often emerge when you stop chasing them. In modern life, overthinking is praised as seriousness. You replay conversations, rehearse outcomes, dissect every decision, yet the body pays the price. The jaw tightens, the breath becomes shallow, sleep grows thin. Ask yourself honestly, how many problems were truly solved by mental exhaustion, and how many softened only after you let them be? Try this simple practice. Sit quietly for 1 minute. Do not seek answers. Do not fix anything. Let the mind rest, even if it resists. Notice how uncomfortable silence feels at first. That discomfort is the mind losing control. Stay anyway. In that stillness, something subtle begins to shift. Buddhist wisdom teaches that intuition speaks softly. It cannot compete with frantic thinking. When you stop forcing solutions, space opens. In that space, clarity arrives, not as noise, but as knowing. You suddenly see what to do or what not to do. The answer feels simple, almost obvious, and you wonder why you struggled so long. Reflect carefully. What problem improves when I stop thinking about it? What decision became clearer after rest, sleep, or distance? These are not coincidences. They are evidence that intelligence operates beyond constant thought. Overthinking is rooted in fear, the fear that without control, everything will collapse. But life has been moving long before your analysis began. When you trust this movement, worry loosens its grip. You shift from forcing outcomes to cooperating with reality. Ask yourself gently, can I allow clarity to come instead of demanding it? Can I trust silence to finish what effort could not? What wisdom appears when I stop interrupting life with fear? This is the final turning point. When the mind learns to step back, life steps forward. Problems untangle, energy returns, decisions simplify, and in that quiet cooperation, you discover the truth. When you stop worrying, stop forcing, stop overthinking, real life finally begins. 10. Peace is not passive, it is strategic. You have been taught that calm is weakness, that urgency proves seriousness, that tension means you care. But look closely at life. The people who move with the most impact are not frantic, they are steady. Buddhism teaches a truth. Peace is not passive, it is strategic. Calm people see clearly, clear people act precisely. This is why peace is power. The Buddha observed that a disturbed mind cannot see reality as it is. When emotions surge unchecked, perception narrows. You react instead of respond. You speak too soon, you decide too fast. Calm is not hesitation, it is preparation. A steady hand moves mountains, not through force, but through accuracy. Think of an archer preparing to release an arrow. Tightening the grip does not improve the shot, stilling the breath does. Only when the body is calm does the arrow fly straight. In the same way, your life decisions land true only when they come from steadiness, not agitation. Worry convinces you that peace will make you complacent. The opposite is true. Calm sharpens awareness. It allows you to notice what truly matters and ignore what drains you. When the mind settles, priorities become obvious. Energy stops leaking into unnecessary conflict and returns to purposeful action. In modern life, stress is mistaken for leadership. Panic is mistaken for productivity. But observe carefully how many poor decisions were made under pressure, how many words spoken in tension had to be repaired later. Calm does not slow progress, it prevents damage. Try this now. Inhale slowly, then exhale longer than the inhale. Feel the shoulders drop, feel the jaw loosen. Notice how authority returns to the body when the breath steadies. This is not relaxation for comfort, this is regulation for clarity. Ask yourself honestly, how does calm change my decisions? When I am centered, do I choose differently, speak differently, act with more precision? Calm reveals options that anxiety hides. It opens pathways that fear cannot see. Buddhist wisdom teaches that peace is an active state. It is the ground from which right action emerges. From calm, you can be firm without aggression, clear without cruelty, decisive without regret. This is strength refined, not softened. Reflect quietly. Who benefits when I remain centered? Your family, your work, your future self. Even those who oppose you are disarmed by steadiness. Chaos feeds on reaction, calm starves it. What strength emerges from stillness? The strength to wait when waiting is wise, the strength to move when movement is needed, the strength to remain unshaken when outcomes are uncertain. This is the final lesson. Peace is not retreat from life. It is the posture that allows you to meet life fully. When worry fades, clarity rises. When clarity rises, action becomes clean. And in that disciplined calm, real life begins. Not rushed, not fearful, but deliberate, awake and powerful. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My worry ends here." 11. Life starts working when you stop interfering. You have been struggling, not because life is cruel, but because you keep interrupting it. The mind doubts, controls, corrects, and questions every step. It assumes danger where there is none. Buddhism reveals a final, uncomfortable truth. Life is not against you. It is waiting for you to stop interfering. When the mind steps aside, the path appears. From the beginning, worry trained you to believe that life must be controlled strongly, that without constant attention, everything will fall apart. But look closely. Your heart beats without instruction. Breath flows without effort. Healing happens while you sleep. Life has always known how to move. The problem starts when the mind refuses to trust this intelligence. Worry creates an illusion of control, but it blocks natural flow. You overcorrect choices, second-guess timing, doubt your instincts. You pull at life like a rope, afraid it will escape. Yet clouds move on their own. The sky was never broken. Life does not need your fear to work. It needs your cooperation. Notice how exhaustion grows when you resist uncertainty. The body tightens. The mind stays alert, even in safe moments. Joy feels delayed, always postponed, until everything is fixed. But life is not a problem to solve. It is a process to take part in. When you stop interfering, solutions appear with less effort than expected. Place both hands on your heart. Breathe slowly. Feel the weight of constant alertness soften. For one moment, let life carry you, instead of you carrying life. This is not giving up. This is releasing false responsibility. The responsibility to trust. In modern life, surrender is misunderstood as weakness. But Buddhism teaches surrender as wisdom. You still act, you still choose, you still practice discipline, but you stop harming yourself with doubt. Action flows from clarity, not fear. Decisions feel cleaner, outcomes hurt less, even when they are not what you expected. Reflect honestly. What changes when I trust life instead of questioning it? Who am I without constant worry, narrating every moment? Beneath the noise, there is a calmer self, capable, grounded, resilient. That self has always been there, waiting for space. When worry loosens, life begins to cooperate. People respond differently. Opportunities align quietly. Problems untangle without force. This does not mean life becomes easy. It means you stop fighting it inside, and without that inner battle, strength returns. Buddhist wisdom points to this final shift. Peace is not something you earn by fixing everything. It arrives when you stop doubting existence itself. When you stop treating life as an enemy, it stops feeling like one. Ask yourself now, without fear, am I ready to let life work through me instead of against me? Because the moment you stop interfering, something meaningful happens. Life moves forward, you move with it. And that is where real life begins, quiet, steady, and clearly alive. Bonus principle: worry ends where trust begins. Worry ends not because problems disappear, but because trust slowly takes their place. You have been taught that trust is belief, something mental, something fragile. Buddhism points to something deeper. Trust is relaxing into reality. It is the moment you stop bracing for impact that may never come. Peace arrives when effort rests. Notice how much of your day is spent preparing for danger. The body stays slightly tense. The mind stays alert, scanning for what might go wrong. This constant readiness feels responsible, but it is draining. Worry is the posture of someone who does not trust life to support them. And yet, life has already supported you through moments far heavier than this one. Worry continues because you are pushing in the wrong direction. You push against uncertainty. You push against timing. You push against outcomes that are not ready to shift. A door opens the moment you stop pushing the wrong way. When resistance ends, alignment begins. The Buddha taught that suffering continues as long as the mind refuses to rest in what is. Trust is not blind optimism. It is the willingness to stop fighting the present moment. When you trust, you are not saying everything will be perfect. You are saying, I can meet whatever comes without harming myself in advance. Feel how worry lives in the body, the tight chest, the shallow breath, the subtle clenching that never fully relaxes. Now, imagine softening just 10%, not fixing anything, not solving anything, just easing the grip. Notice how energy quickly returns. This is not coincidence. This is intelligence responding to permission. In modern life, constant tension is normal. You are praised for staying stressed, for always being on edge. But stress narrows perception. Trust widens it. When you soften, you see options that fear hid. Conversations change. Decisions become cleaner. You act from clarity instead of panic. Ask yourself gently, where can I trust just a little more today? Not forever, not blindly, just here, just now. What would change if I stopped bracing against this moment? What becomes possible when I allow life to meet me halfway? Trust does not mean doing nothing. It means doing what is needed without carrying the weight of imagined futures. Effort becomes clean, action becomes grounded, rest becomes healing again. This is the turning point where worry begins to fade. Not through force, but through understanding. Observe how life responds when you soften. People feel less guarded around you. Problems lose urgency. Even challenges feel more workable. When trust replaces tension, life begins to cooperate without struggle. This is the quiet ending of worry. Not a dramatic breakthrough, but a gentle release. The moment you stop gripping reality, reality stops pushing back. And in that soft trust, real life begins. Not rushed, not armored, but open, responsive, and fully alive. Quick summary of the principles. Thoughts are visitors, not commanders. Thoughts arise naturally, but they are not authorities. Suffering begins when you follow every mental voice. Awareness creates space between you and mental noise. Freedom starts the moment you observe instead of follow. Worry is fear, pretending to protect you. Worry feels responsible, but it slowly trains the mind to expect loss. It weakens clarity and drains present energy. The future is not solved by anxiety. Peace begins when fear is seen, not fed. The mind creates problems. Reality never sent. Events are simple. Interpretation makes them heavy. The mind multiplies pain through stories and assumptions. Most struggles exist only in thought. When the story ends, suffering reduces quickly. Emotional control comes from understanding, not suppression. Emotions intensify when resisted. They soften when fully felt. Control is born from clarity, not force. Understanding emotions restores inner authority. Resistance is the real exhaustion. Life itself is not tiring. Fighting it is. Inner conflict drains more energy than any challenge. Acceptance removes friction from experience. When resistance ends, strength returns. Detachment is freedom, not indifference. Detachment does not mean withdrawing from life. It means releasing dependence on outcomes. Action becomes cleaner and wiser. Peace grows when clinging dissolves. Timing is intelligence beyond thought. Anxiety rushes what life unfolds naturally. Wisdom trusts unseen processes. Forcing clarity creates confusion. Patience aligns you with life's rhythm. Presence multiplies power. Scattered attention weakens effort. Presence gathers energy into focus. Calm awareness improves every action. Power grows when attention rests in the now. Overthinking blocks natural solutions. The mind often delays what silence resolves. Answers appear when mental interference stops. Stillness allows insight to rise. Clarity favors quiet minds. Peace is strategic strength. Calmness sharpens perception and judgment. Emotional balance leads to precise action. True power does not rush or react. Peace becomes an advantage, not a retreat. Life starts working. When you stop interfering, life is not against you. It responds to trust. Control blocks natural flow. When effort relaxes, alignment begins. Ease invites progress. Bonus, worry ends. Where trust begins, trust replaces mental strain with openness. The mind rests when faith in life grows. Control dissolves into confidence. This is where real freedom begins. Worry was never your responsibility. Clarity was. Zen philosophy reminds us that life does not need to be controlled, only met with awareness. When the mind stops rehearsing fear, reality shows its quiet support. Peace is not found by fixing everything, but by seeing clearly what does not need fixing. Inspiring quote. When the mind is no longer restless, the world arranges itself. Today, loosen your grip just a little. Let one worry fall away. Let one breath bring you back to now, and ask yourself, what begins to move forward when I stop standing in my own way? If this wisdom resonated with you, like and share this video. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful life.